Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Daisy. For today's video, I'll be reading my subscribers' spooky stories. So of course, you already know what to do. Go grab your snacks, go grab your cobija, and let's get straight into it. Hi Daisy, my name is Veronica. I'm originally from New York, but I currently live in Utah. About 10 years ago, I served a mission for the Mormon Church. Serving a mission means leaving your home, family, friends, school, basically your normal life, and focusing entirely on serving the Lord. For women, it's about 18 months, and for men, it's 2 years, usually between the ages of 18 to 23. The leaders of the church send you anywhere in the world they feel you should go. There is a strong spiritual aspect involved in deciding where you're placed. I was sent to Argentina, specifically Patagonia. A lot of creepy things happened during my mission, meeting strange people, being stalked, and even experiencing paranormal things. But I want to share one specific experience. My first experience happened in an area called Pico Truncado. It's a small town about 2 hours away from the nearest big city. We were surrounded by nothing but desert and this random giant metal dinosaur, which was basically the town's only attraction. As missionaries, we would knock on people's doors and talk to others in the street. Every 6 to 12 weeks, we would get transferred and assigned to a new area. That's how I ended up in Pico Truncado, where I replaced another sister missionary. We always worked in pairs, so I had a new companion and a completely new area. When I arrived, my companion updated me on the people we were teaching. One of them was a woman, we'll call her Carla, who they had met a couple of weeks before I got there. She had a son who was about 6 years old. When I first met her, she seemed nice, but I immediately noticed some strange things. She never wanted to pray. She didn't like reading scripture, and over time, she started acting even weirder, avoiding anything about God and just wanting to chismear, gossip about everything else. One day, we asked her why she didn't want to learn about God. She told us she felt unworthy. We asked her why, and that's when things got really weird. She told us she had done something really bad. She said she used to be a lady of the night in northern Argentina, but she could never make enough money to get herself and her son out of their situation. So her boyfriend at the time told her to perform a ritual. She said she made a pact and sold her son to you know who. After that, things got really bad in the north, so she moved to the south. But even there, things kept getting worse. Eventually, she asked us not to come back anymore. We left feeling completely confused and honestly a little scared. We didn't really talk about it. In Argentina, there's something called almuerzo around 12 or 1 p.m., followed by siesta, where everything shuts down and people take long naps, even stores close. As missionaries, we weren't allowed to nap, but we could go home and study. One day after lunch, we decided to take the long way home. The streets were completely empty. From a distance, we saw Carla walking. As we got closer, we noticed she was wearing a hoodie in 90-degree weather. Her under eyes were extremely dark, like she hadn't slept in days. We asked her how she was doing. All she kept saying was, "He's following me, he's following me." But there was no one behind her. We asked, "Who?" And she said, "He's coming for me." At that point, we were completely freaked out. We asked if she wanted us to call someone to give her a blessing, and she nodded yes, but she kept looking around like she was terrified of something we couldn't see. We called the elders and got permission to go to her house, even though it was past curfew. Around 9:45 that night, we went with the elders. The moment we stepped inside, everything felt heavy. She looked pale and not like herself at all. She had a round table in her house, and she asked the elders to give her a blessing right there. But on the table, there were 4 knives placed neatly, almost forming a square. I thought it was strange, so before the prayer started, I quietly picked them up and placed them in the sink. Then the elders began the prayer. We all closed our eyes, but after a few seconds, my companion and I opened them at the same time and looked at each other. And instantly, we felt it. It was like something heavy was sitting on our backs. We couldn't sit up straight. It was hard to breathe. As soon as the prayer ended, we could finally sit up again. And when we looked at Carla, it didn't look like her anymore. Her eyes were pitch black. She was mumbling something, and her voice sounded completely different. Then suddenly, she snapped out of it. She thanked us and told us to leave. On the way home, me and my companion completely lost it. We started crying uncontrollably. We were terrified. When we got home, we prayed together, still sobbing. And then we heard banging on our door. But when we checked, no one was there. We freaked out even more. We kept praying and playing church music because the heaviness in the room wouldn't go away. We even pushed our beds together because we were too scared to sleep alone. My companion and I shared a phone. That night, the elders kept trying to call and text us because they were worried. But when we woke up in the morning, only one message had come through. It was a scripture about angels protecting us. The elders later told us they had called about 20 times and sent multiple messages, but only that one went through. 2 days later, we were walking to church. The church had tall railings, and the only way in was with a key. But in the middle of the walkway, there was a box. We were confused because no one should have been able to get inside. We called the president and told us to not touch it, that he would come handle it. When he arrived, he opened the box. Inside were all the scriptures, Bibles, pamphlets, and pictures of Jesus that we had given Carla. Later, we were told that this is sometimes how people curse others through black magic, returning religious items. Usually, there would also be a dead animal or a strong smell. After that, we never saw or heard from her again. And about 6 weeks later, I was transferred to another area to finish my mission. Sorry, this was a little long, but I have more stories, and this one isn't even the scariest. I come from a family that worked in the funeral industry, so I was never really scared to be around bodies or anything like that. When I was 7 years old, I had to stay with my dad because I had chickenpox. He was a medical examiner and would occasionally do transports, meaning he would pick up the deceased and take them to the morgue. On one particular call, it was a man who had been found in his home and was already in decomposition. He smelled very bad. My dad placed him in the van, and I suddenly felt a bad energy coming from the man. During the ride to the morgue and even on our way home, the atmosphere felt thick and heavy, and the energy was very low. Once we got home, it was already bedtime, and every night I would have water by my bed. My dad was walking to the kitchen to get my water, and I got up to ask if I could have a snack. When I went to talk to him, I saw the same man we had picked up earlier walking behind my dad. His spirit had attached itself to him. I knew it was the same man because my dad had his ID card for the morgue workers, and when I saw it, I recognized his face. After that, there were times when my dad would bring home spirits, and I would see black figures throughout the house. Hi, Daisy. My entire life, I've been surrounded by Catholic beliefs from my dad's side and Santa Muerte from my mom's side. I met my boyfriend at the beginning of January 2025, and at first, everything was going great. He's very well known, while I'm more of a quiet girl who stays out of drama. His family is very Christian and strongly rooted in their faith, but his brother's child's mother and her grandmother practice Brujeria. At first, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. That's just the kind of person I am. But over time, I started to realize that no one in the family really liked her. They had even expressed that multiple times. In March, I found out I was pregnant, but the pregnancy ended in a miscarriage. After that, things started going wrong. My boyfriend and I began arguing more and more. I was close to losing my job. Money wasn't lasting, and I constantly felt sick and unmotivated. I'm usually a very active person, always working or going to the gym, so this wasn't like me at all. One day in April, my mom randomly called and asked if I was okay. I tried to lie and say I was fine, but she knew I wasn't. She told me, "Be careful, there's going to be some legal problems," which later made sense in July. My boyfriend was already on probation, so we were scared, but we tried not to think much about it. By May and June, the fighting got worse. I started noticing flies in the house and a terrible smell that wouldn't go away, no matter how much I cleaned. At the beginning of June, I found out I was pregnant again. Things only got more intense. We broke up and argued so badly that it turned physical. I ended up in a fight with his mom and was hospitalized with a concussion, a black eye, and bruises on my back. Thankfully, the doctor said the baby was okay at that time, which gave me some relief. But by the end of July, I started having complications. The doctors couldn't find anything specifically wrong, which made everything even more confusing. During that time, my mom quietly began looking into whether I was being spiritually worked on, but she didn't tell me until months later. In mid-July, my boyfriend and I got back together, but things still weren't stable. We were still arguing when one Saturday, he was arrested for violating his probation and having a warrant. 2 other people were involved, but they were let go because they snitched. It's all in the court discovery. I continued visiting him while I was still pregnant, but 2 weeks after my birthday, on August 22, I lost my baby girl. It was incredibly painful and confusing, especially because the doctors had told me everything looked fine. I suffered a severe hemorrhage and was hospitalized for 2 days. About a week later, my mom called my dad and me together and said, "A ti te trabajaron feo, y bien feo, mija, pero no te preocupes, ya sé quién es." She told me that my boyfriend's brother's child's mother and her grandmother had done brujeria on me, trying to harm me and my baby, all because he had kicked his brother out for not paying his share of the rent or bills. Since then, I've been going to church every weekend, praying every day, and carrying a rosary with me at all times. Now my boyfriend is serving a 6-year sentence after being set up by his own brother and his brother's friend. Hello, Daisy. I've always loved scary stories that send chills down your spine, but I never thought I would experience something like this myself. For the sake of the story, I like to go by Jay. The first time I had a paranormal encounter, I was around 8 or 9 years old. My older brother was 14 when this event happened, and it's something I could never forget. It started one night when my brother and I decided to stay up late since it wasn't a school night. We loved competing in friendly challenges to see who could stay up the longest. At the time, my mom used to read us the Bible to strengthen our faith. But being kids, we never really took it seriously because we didn't understand. Eventually, our little competition ended, and we both headed to bed. Around 3 in the morning, I heard noises, like someone walking around. I heard my brother muttering and decided to check why he was still up. I peeked out of my room and saw him sleepwalking for the first time in a long time. But the way he was walking was too precise, as if he was following someone or something. I decided to follow him back to his room. At the time, my brother had a futon that was slightly broken because we were always roughhousing and play fighting, so some small metal bars were sticking out. As I walked behind him, watching him follow whatever it was, he suddenly tripped over nothing. By the grace of God, I caught him before he fell face first into the metal bars. The next day, I asked him about it. My mom and I laughed at how silly he was for sleepwalking, but the laughter faded when he told us he saw a woman in an all-black dress with her face covered by a veil. She was asking him to follow her. He didn't realize he was actually sleepwalking in real life while following her in his dream. My mom, being very religious, made my brother recite a passage from the Bible and anointed him with holy oil. A few weeks later, it was a quiet night. Everyone, including me, was asleep when I felt an overwhelming sense of being watched. I remember dreaming about her too, but this time I saw her face. It was so beautiful and soft, almost angelic. She reached her hand out to me, and being a child, I followed her in my dreams. She would lead me to the woods and sometimes show me my own grave. I could hear many whispers, completely incoherent, but still audible. Whenever I woke up, I'd be drenched in sweat. I eventually told my mom that I was having the same dream. Sometimes it even came during sleep paralysis. After I told her, she didn't see it as a coincidence. She made both my brother and me recite the same Bible passage and blessed us with holy oil. After that, neither of us saw her again. I thought that was the end. But the second time scared me the most. Terror wouldn't even begin to explain what I felt that night. I was staying with my boyfriend at his parents' house. I was 18 at the time and usually stayed there on the weekends or for a few days. My boyfriend, like my brother, is known to sleepwalk and talk. It's funny sometimes, but it usually scares me. That night, we were asleep in his room when I heard him get up. He was sleepwalking again, so I quietly guided him back to bed, and we both fell asleep. At around 2 a.m., I felt it again, the chills and the overwhelming sense of being watched. I couldn't move. Then I saw her in the corner of the room, whispering, "Come, come, we have to go." I was confused. Go where? I thought. She still had the same angelic face, but when she reached out her hand, it didn't match. Her hand looked like a corpse that had been in water for years. In my head, I kept repeating, "No, I'm not going." Each time I denied her, her face began to change. The more I refused, the more her face contorted into something beyond my understanding. I was terrified. I started reciting the same Bible passage my mom had taught me. Before she disappeared, she said, "You will come." And then she vanished. The next day, I called my mom, who once again blessed me with holy oil. My mom always says, just because it's beautiful doesn't mean it's holy. I still don't know what would have happened if I had gone with her. All I know is that whatever she was, it was not good. So unfortunately, that was it for today's spooky story. Unfortunately, because I wish I could stay here all day to read your guys' stories. But thank you guys so much for sharing your spooky encounter. We love them. So please, if you have more, or if it's your first time, second time, third time, does not matter, send your spooky story at daicyspooks@gmail.com. We, of course, would love to hear your guys' encounters. But also, guys, a big thank you to everyone that showed me love over there on TikTok. You guys are absolutely like the best. Thank you guys so much. It's Daisy Spooks, the official account, TikTok. If you guys want to go and support, I would definitely love to see you guys over there. But yes, it's only one TikTok, okay? There's only one TikTok account, and it's called daicymaria, Daisy Spooks. You guys, the OG is that one, okay? The other ones are not. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much. You guys are truly the best. So I really appreciate and I love seeing your guys' support over there on TikTok. It just melts my heart. So los quiero. I wish I could hug every one of you. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you guys all in my next one. Bye.